caught your eye last time you came on the show. But if you have the story that goes with it.
Oh, it would be hard to narrow it down to a single story.
Mhm.
Um, I hope that I've grown over my lifetime, trying to improve how I look at the world, although sometimes I do feel like I've gotten a bit more cynical as I've gotten older.
Mm.
Um, I think the most significant part of my life as far as forming my value systems and my ability to uh, feel confident in what I believe in was the time that I spent in university when I moved away from all of my roommates and lived in a home completely alone. Lived there for a little over a year. Worked a lot, so I spent a great deal of time in the saddle, alone, out with cattle and of course horses. Um, and so I had a lot of opportunities to think back over things that happened, or in some cases think about what I was going to do about something that I knew that was coming that would happen.
Mm.
So it was during those times that I realized what was really important to me in my life and what values in all the people, that I had met because I came from a small town. I'd met
Mm.
a lot of new people there at university. And sometimes people will fool you. So I got to spend a lot of time thinking back, reflecting over how people how close they were to who I thought they were when I first met them,
Mm.
or how I saw them as a persona before I knew them. And then later, reflecting back on what I saw about what they did when you were actually in action with them or in a setting with them. So for me, that was probably the most formative years
Yeah.
in all of my life.
That's interesting, huh? Because my college years and now, when I compare the people I saw and met, and I've seen the difference in who I thought they were as well, and then who they are now. And I'm like, huh, maybe what I thought about them, maybe it's not the same as who they are. Sometimes I overestimated it, sometimes I underestimated it, and
Yeah,
it's kind of crazy how that turns out. Thank you for
yeah,
sharing that with us today.
yeah. I think that's key. Sometimes you have to forgive them, and sometimes you have to forgive yourself
Correct.
when you make a decision about people.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that with us today, Glenn.
Absolutely.
What would you say that is your goal for being on the show today?
One of the things that we talked about reflection, I think in our first podcast, and I don't know that I spent enough time talking about how important it is to actually sit back in that period of reflection and analyze what the outcomes were of what you did. You can spend time reflecting on, how you feel about things. You can spend time reflecting about what you think that you value.
Mm.
But you also need to spend time actually reflecting back on where would I have been if I had made a different decision? Or how did the decision that I made impact this person
Mm.
versus if I had made a different decision, what did I think? What do I believe now or see might have happened?
Mm.
It's good to reflect back, not just on your own values, but on actually how things that you've done, how it actually impacted people. I saw that particularly with students, teachers, and students. Teachers don't always have time to think back if they very quickly gave an answer or if they were having a bad day and they snapped at a student. If you don't take the time to think back, why did that student do that? Or what could I have said that would have impacted that person differently? Um, you lose that opportunity to grow, and sometimes you can get in the habit of making the same mistake over and over again, and that is costly both for you and for the people that you meet and know.
Um, I think I agree with that because um, the impact you leave with people with your actions sometimes can be small, but sometimes can be very long lasting. And it's very, I think, important to keep us in check. I think one of the very famous quotes on the show by the founder Jackson, is he keeps saying this quite a bit, like, "Yeah, absolute power corrupts absolutely." So if you need to have people around you, surrounded by you, who you trust enough with their opinion, who keep you in check and balances, where you know that if something is not right, that you don't see, because if it's your blind spot, you're not going to see it.
Yeah, that's right.
You So it's very important that you surround yourself with people that actually are able to talk to you with some radical candor, that they can challenge you in ways and help you be the better versions of yourself. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that absolutely, that's true, and again, that goes back to taking that quiet time. Um, People that you have around you that you trust, you want to think that what they tell you is the truth.
Hmm.
That's what you've asked for, but sometimes you do have to reflect back and make sure that, is that the truth that they said, or, is are they telling you what you want to hear?
Hmm.
And if they're telling you what you want to hear, what is it that they want from you? So it's always good to look back at their actions based on what you said or did, so that you can. And I don't want to use the word judge, but you constantly have to be aware of, if someone says something and they are being honest with you. If you doubt that, you need to ask them, and do a little soul searching, spend a little time alone, and then go back and say, I don't understand why you said that, or what about what you said do you think I need to change? How can I grow based on what you believe,
Hmm.
that after what someone tells you something?
Why do you think that some leaders, actually most leaders that we encounter, hide from funding their vision? And how can those leaders then lean into funding that vision? I think you have a very unique story where your vision is very different than most people have encountered, and I think you've done a lot to fund it. um, so what would you like to say about that?
Well, let me ask you first, how is it different? I
um,
kind of think I'm pretty normal, so.
so the book and the story you mentioned about education,
Right.
um, it's different because most people don't go that brave, and then they are not, uh they most people have those views, but they don't like sharing it openly like you do.
Oh,
I would
that's
say, I think your vision and the things you have done to fund it is, it's um the other day I had a doctor on my show. I think it was yesterday. He created this technology where he can treat mental illnesses, not every one of them, but very specific mental illnesses, through red light therapy. I don't know if you're aware of that. Like, when we go out in the sun, the rays have red light in it. Like, there's
right.
different part.
Yes,
Yeah,
I do red light therapy to fight
yeah,
cancer.
yeah.
Yeah.
And if there's like different wavelengths of those red light, and there's certain length that most people have access to, like through James, or if you can buy equipment for it, but that doesn't penetrate deep enough to
Right.
completely fix
Mhm.
things. His is a I think, is it a lower or higher? I don't know what the science is, but that penetrates deeper through the skull to the problem and actually fixes it, or actually improves things. And he's fighting against insurances. He's fighting against big pharma. He's fighting against big companies, because even though the technology works, no one wants to invest or fund it, because he's going after that big companies. And I think that's, I think, one of the things you're fighting too. If you don't realize it, I think you have a big fight ahead of you, where you're fighting the system.
Oh, yeah, yeah, I'm very aware of it. I think that there's a lot of people, we have fought for years the system in the food industry. Um, I taught years ago, tried to teach healthy eating, and I always said, pay your farmer, not your doctor.
Mhm.
But every time we go to a doctor's office, it's here, take this medicine, here, take that medicine, here, take this other medicine. They don't want to hear about how good food can
Exactly.
change your life.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think people don't fund their vision because perhaps it's easier. It's
Mm,
it's it's okay to just keep it. You feel motivated. You feel um, you feel like you're on a mission. You feel like you're going to make a difference, but you might not necessarily be willing to pay the price of losing friends or being made fun of in some cases.
mm,
And so people tend, particularly if you're in a career or if you're in a job that requires, if you're around a lot of people and you have to see them every day, you have to be in a space with them every day. Um, it's hard. It's hard to make people angry and then sit with them for another 7.5 hours.
yeah.
So I think if people don't fund their vision, it's because perhaps they don't want to give up whatever it is that makes them comfortable
Mm.
so that they can go further to pursue their vision.
Then how do people lean into? What did you do in your case to fund your vision?
Well, I got a little older. That certainly helped. I do think that's part of that willingness to give up things. That comfort level comes with age, but part of it also comes from if you pay enough of a price at some point and you get past that, you retreat, you reflect, you decide whether or not that other opinion is worth giving up on what your vision is.
Mm,
And if you're true to your vision, if you really are on point with what you're seeking in life, that person's opinion or those people's opinions, you realize once you get away from it, it doesn't matter. It's
mm,
it's not worth the price that it would take to give up on your vision to be with them.
mm,
So I think that again, reflection comes in, get away, spend time alone, um, s- seek some things that are soothing thoughts, a good book, some philosophy. Perhaps some people would seek religion, um, a close friend, perhaps, but again, you risk how close is that friend over time. Um, so I think the most important thing is to reflect yourself and decide if the price that you're going to have to pay to move forward is worth your vision. And if you're not willing to pay that price, then probably need to do a little reflecting on your vision as well.
Thank you for being here today. I'm really happy that you tuned in to Vision Pros Live. I'm looking forward to seeing your reactions as these episodes continue to move forward. This is going to get more and more fun. We'll have more and more engagement as well. We'll invite people to participate in the show. And thank you for giving us your time and attention. Have an excellent time building out your vision and becoming a Vision Pro yourself.